Hi everybody, this is Sinisha from XOAP. You're searching for an easy way on how to create, manage and deploy customized operating system images for your Azure Virtual Desktop environments. Today I'm going to show you how to achieve that in under 5 minutes without having to code or taking care of deployment pipelines. Let's go. Alright, let's see how fast we can get to a working image. I'm in my demo workspace currently and I switched to the image management overview. So we could use a simple wizard to create our image, but I will go step by step through all the things you need to configure just to see what you need to do to define those Azure Virtual Desktop images. And we will start in the resources area. So that is basically where you put all your already available scripts or scripts you download from GitHub that you found somewhere on a community page. So you can upload here PowerShell scripts, license files, config files, whatever you need to customize your image. The next step is to create a library of different functions that you use to build your image. So, for example, we can add here PowerShell commands that can be run during image creation. We can also add here things like PowerShell scripts, Windows updates, Windows restarts, or if you have config management and application management as well in your workspace available, you can also use, for example, application roles that you defined that are then installed into your image. And the same applies to the configuration management based on PowerShell DSC. So when you created everything and added everything that you need, the next step is to define groups. Groups are basically containers for different functions. So for example, you can define a Windows 11 baseline that integrates everything you need for Windows 11. You could also add things like an optimization baseline, where if you look into the details, you could do certain things to optimize your operating system, like optimize PowerShell startup, for example, or anything else that you might need. And with those groups, you basically, in the next step, define your roles. So a role is a container for multiple groups. And if I look at this Azure Virtual Desktop Windows 11 role here, it already has Windows 11 baseline, some baseline applications that are defined here, an optimization baseline, and in the end, a Windows updates group assigned. And those things will then, in this order, be also applied to the image during the image management run. The next thing we should look at is the operating systems area. Here, for example, if not already available as a template, you can go to Azure and select an operating system that you want to use as base. So the images that are available on Azure are here used as the starting point for the further customization. And here I can choose maybe an older build of Windows 10. And if needed, you can also specify a specific language that you might use. So I will save that for now, and then it's available as a library item here to proceed. The next step is to configure our builder. And for example, you can use Azure Managed or Azure Gallery as a target. And if I look at the already available builder here, it's actually where you specify the connection to your Azure subscription that is used. Then you specify the region where this image should be created, an instance type used for the building process. So, for example, if you have complex software to install that's large, I would use a bigger instance because it makes the image creation process faster. If you want to save money, you can use smaller instances, but you have to test a little bit out what's the correct instance type for your specific use case and define that here. Then you give that a name and save that actually. And the last step we need to do is basically where everything comes together. So you specify a name. I will call it Azure Windows 11 2020 H2 Enterprise Edition, multi-user and English. So give it a description. And if I already created an image, I could use it as a base to build on top. But because I have no Windows 11 here that I could use now in my subscription, I will leave that as none. Then I go here and choose an operating system that I want to use, a provider that I specified here, then the builder, so actually where I want to deploy this, and I named this builder configuration here to integrate like the location and the machine instance type. And the last step is to just choose the role that I configured here with all the things that should be applied to this image. So let's save this. And the last step I actually have to do is click on Run. Now a pipeline will start. We will connect to the specified Azure subscription, run that image, and yeah, we'll see if everything worked as expected. So see you in a few minutes. Okay, our build finished successfully. So let's have a look at the runs. So it took around about 37 minutes. And if we look at that output here, that is the artifact that was created inside the Azure subscription. Now let's look at the resources we have here. And what we can see here that this image was created. And if I flip over to my host pool creation page, where I select the image to use for this host pool, and I click on See Images and My Images, you will see here is the created image. So to sum it up, we created an Azure Virtual Desktop image, customized with different applications, ran optimization scripts, installed Windows updates. So this is a very easy workflow or possibility to like pre-create those images for maybe your operating team that is responsible to maybe create a new version of an image before it is assigned to a new host pool. You can connect as many of your Azure subscriptions as you want, so you're totally free with that. And yeah, that's it for this quick overview of how our image management module works. If you want to learn more, feel free to subscribe to our Twitter channel or our YouTube channel. We will update both of those channels with new content periodically. If you have questions, feel free to contact us. Hope to see you soon. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.